As I look back on my tenure on the Board of Education, I ponder the events that had led us to this point. I recollect all of the opportunities we had to ensure a strong foundation was provided for our students. Sadly, many of our opportunities to do the right thing for this district and our community were cast aside in favor of following our questionable leadership. Whether it was favorable voting on a teacher's contract or pushing through a referendum that was doomed to fail from its inception, the decisions of this board has irreparably harmed this community and our children. The legacy of this board has created is one filled with mistrust, misguided alliances, and a misrepresentation to the community that none of us care. Well, I want to make it clear now at the end of my term that I do care. Every vote I cast was not only based on the facts that were provided to us, but were also researched and then balanced with what was truly in the best interest of all of our children. My voting record is one that I am proud of. I have never voted as a favor to someone, nor as a sign of my allegiance to our board president. Our current board president has made it his goal to remain in control of the majority votes on this board. The trajectory of our district falls solely at his feet. Our inability to focus on the children, but rather what our president wants, has led us to this dark time in our community. Mistrust and negative perception must be placed where it belongs, with our board president. Now, as I come to the end of my term, knowing a new slate of officers will be sworn in, I ask most humbly that you look deep inside yourself and examine how your voting and alliances have brought us to this place. I ask that you consider all that we have been through together, through failed referendums, teacher contracts, new superintendents, and realize the opportunities we have missed. Opportunities that would have truly changed our students' daily lives. I implore you to consider a changing of our president to someone whose sole purpose is to positively change our district, not further solidify one's perceived power and control. It has been both an honor and pleasure to serve on this board. I hope for nothing but the best for each of my fellow members as you embark on what could truly be a defining moment in the history of our district. Do the right thing, elect a new president, and regain the trust of this community. Sincerely, Christian.
Thank you, sir. Appointment of president pro term. In tradition, we've always, the current president would sit for that, which is myself. We'll open up for elections. The first one on the docket is president. Motion from the floor.
I'll make a motion for Servo Radisavage for president.
Any other motions?
I will second it.
There's no second needed.
I'll make a motion.
Any other on the floor? Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Show of hands. All opposed? No, there's 2 opposed. Thank you. We'll go to nominations for vice president.
I'll make the nomination for Pasquale Biondo.
Any other motions on the floor? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? You abstain? It was unanimous. For secretary, you need a motion for secretary.
I'll make the nomination for Warner DiGiulio.
Any other motions for the secretary? All in favor, raise your hand. Let the record show is unanimous. Congratulations.
I have a question.
Yes.
With a missing board member, or was to be a board member, what is the process? What do we do next?
So we would we're going to let the regional office for our area, which is West Cook, be notified that we have a vacant seat, and we need to do that within 5 days. And then after we have 45 days to appoint a new person in that replacement. In the past, what we've done is we follow board policy 2.70, where we usually ask people to send a letter of intent or a resume, and then the board would review that, and then the sitting board would appoint that person.
Do we know what happened to Mr. McCready? I mean, this is.
I just sent out an email just like I did to Tim, just to welcome. But you know,
No response. Have you had any responses or
He closed his.
so?
So you received no letter, no nothing from him saying that?
I received an email, but it was not from his email address that I had. So it was from a different email. And so once I did receive that email, I did call the county and ask what was the process if someone was going to not attend or wanted to withdraw. And according to the Cook County, they said that there is no process for that. It's you go to once you're elected, you go in for swearing in. If it's a no-show, then you have to follow the process and your procedures. Any other questions? Great. Setting the board calendar. I will. You want to talk about that, or you want me to?
I'm going to talk about it. All right. So there's two things. So this is something we've put together. And you're going to receive two sheets. The first sheet that I passed out is the regular board meeting dates. And so we've scheduled all the regular board meeting dates all the way up to April 23rd, 2019. So this is 2 years of dates. So the board members have them well in advance so they can schedule appropriately. Okay, so you have 2 meeting worth of dates. So I want to share that with you. That's the
Can I just add one more thing to that? It's still the same calendar that we've had. It's the third Tuesday of every month except for December, which is the second month because of Christmas or winter break. So it's the exact same calendar.
Right, and the other thing with Christmas is, remember we have to approve a levy too. So the levy has to be done by December 21st, and so we have to be very mindful of that date. So just keep that in the back of your head as we move forward. So it's important to have that date really extrapolated from other dates in your calendar. The second item I gave you are all of the committee meetings. And when I came to the district, what the board wanted is they wanted to have more participation from the public. And I think I've struggled coordinating these to the extent that we need the meetings to be scheduled. And we tried very hard, but quite often we're very busy. We have very, very busy lives, and I understand that. And this is a board where volunteerism is a big deal. And so what I did is I put every single date in here, as well as additional dates that we're going to have to set, which I spoke to at the very beginning, but every single date, and I just wanted to go through these with you so you understand. Some of them, the majority of them, are going to be prior to board meetings. And I tried to do it quarterly. So we have the communications committee, we have the finance committee, we have the academic committee, we have the buildings and grounds, Norwich Park District, we have the board policy development committee. And so I wanted to go through these real quick so you know what the expectation is going to be. So if you look at the first 2 dates, so they're training with the IESB. So the IESB, Perry Hill, is going to come out. By law, we're allowed to go into closed session. We're going to do training. So it's about 2.5 hours to 3 hours worth of training. So we're going to do it twice. Okay. We have the Norwich Park District Committee, Communications Committee, Board Policy Development Committee. And this is very important because over the next year, I want to spend a lot of time, or next 2 years, I want to spend a lot of time in taking a look at our policies and making sure they're in compliance with the state laws. We experienced one issue where a policy was not up to date. One issue. We do not want to have that happen again. And so we're going to go through every single one of our policies as a committee, as a meeting of the whole. And so I want to make sure you had all these dates and you can earmark them in your calendar because I know you have many things going on in your life. And so, again, this is to make sure, number one, you have them well in advance. And number two, we want to spend a lot of time on our advisory committee, inviting people into the public. So we have our finance advisory, we've already scheduled that. We have our buildings and grounds advisory. We really want to push for our communications. We want to really push for our policies if we so choose to do that, as well as our park district, so on and so forth. So we're trying to bring the community in as much as possible. That was one of my expectations, so I really wanted to follow through with this well in advance. I know it's a lot, but we have a lot to do. There's a lot of work. I need your help. I need your help. I really do. And there's a lot of people in the community that want to help too. So we want to reach out, we want to bring people in, and I'm hoping that by having these well in advance, people understand the hard work and volunteerism it takes as a board member. And so we'll post these online, but I just wanted to bring this to you guys here tonight so that you can see them well in advance.
You don't have a time for the 11th and the 18th?
The 11th and the 18th, my understanding with Perry Hill is 7 o'clock. I have to confirm it. So I have to confirm it. And so 7 o'clock is really the norm on those two because it's going to take two and a half to 3 hours for the training. Okay? Part of it's the preparation with the president, whoever that was. So we prepare, we talk about things that we want to really work on or focus on. And he has a boilerplate presentation that he will modify based on who we are as a district and some of the things that we can foresee into the next 1 or 2 years. Okay?
Any other questions about the calendar for the next 2 years for committees or regular board meetings?
Is there leeway in these dates? Meaning, say for instance, there's a date on here, but you can't meet. But is the rescheduling up to the people on the committee, or and follow the same process of notifying Sarah, setting the 48-hour rule?
Well, what I'd like to do is I'd really like to stick to the dates. I think we need to commit to dates because it's been very difficult for us to coordinate meetings regularly. And so there's nothing to keep you or preclude you from having additional meetings, but we really want to stick to the dates and times here because publicly we want to get that out there. We want to get it out there and then we want to hold true. And I'm under the understanding that we will do the all call, we will do the text message, we will do the email for regularly scheduled board meetings, which is the first document I gave you. However, we will just post for the meetings that are Norge Park District Committee, Communications Committee, Board Policy, Development Committee, Finance Committee, et cetera, et cetera. And that way we know what we're expected to do. We know how to schedule. And then I can also, and this is to your point, Pasquale, there's a lot of preparation that we have to do too. And so as a business office, when I have a firm commitment of times and dates, it makes it a little more amenable for us.
And all the committees except for 2 of them, which are the board policy and development, meet the same day as meetings, or regular board meetings. So instead of
Correct.
So it'd be 6 o'clock. And in the next 2 years, if you look at Park District, he meets 5 times scheduled for the next 2 years. All the committees basically meet 5 times except for board policy and development. That's really once a year out there. And then the academic for student excellence, it's basically data. It's a twice a year meeting out there. If there's meetings that for example, Dr. Malley said earlier today that he would like the communications committee meeting to set another meeting. The next one here is June 20th, but you could have another one before that. You could have as many meetings as you want, as long as we post them on time. This is just to give us that set schedule. This way, over the last several years, we haven't had our regular scheduled committee meetings, and so this is another way other districts are doing it. And so we just thought we would try to adopt that for our district.
It's just sad because I already know the July board meeting for policy and development, I will be on vacation. And so, having been given this prior to this meeting, you know what I mean, to be able to have it in the June or in the August meeting, because I would have liked to have attended.
So do you know what do we want to, we could probably try to see.
I know that I'm going to be gone.
So you want to,
Okay.
let's just add something, so let's do July 19th. Would that work for
I would be back, yeah.
Okay.
all right. So we'll make this one July 19th, and we'll keep the one July 11th, 2018 on there because no one scheduled that far in advance. So is everyone okay with that? Great.